A very good evening, morning, and welcome wherever you are in the world to another iPace Driver Show with myself, Garry, the iPace owner, and
This is me, Abu Dhabi Dude. Welcome
you
back.
may notice we've got another face sitting over somewhere around me. This is Chris Davies,
Hello.
who people will know who have experienced the wonders of being able to say to Alexa, precondition my car.
Yeah.
Everybody's car has now just started preconditioning.
Indeed.
I will put the subtonic beep underneath that so that it doesn't trigger the Alexas. And that one as well. So anyway, we thought it'd be great to get Chris on the show because we were discussing this the other day that the iPace was supposed to come with a Amazon Alexa skill, which has never surfaced. There was also talk at the time of Google skills as well, which never surfaced. And then ADD, you produced the Siri skill.
I came up with the Siri shortcuts, which were never advertised as being available, so at least we was out on that one.
So Chris, you're not an iPace driver.
I'm not.
You drive one of these very fast sports Jaguars.
Indeed. Yep.
But so what got you involved in creating a skill for voice control for the things?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you say, the preconditioning is by far the most important thing for me. I'm exceptionally lazy. Being a developer, that is just a trait. But what I would find is when we were driving to work, remember that when we used to go to the place of work, when it was really cold or equally very hot outside, I just wanted to be able to say, like, start the car, and I didn't want to have to look for my phone, type in the stupid PIN code or Face ID or whatever it may be. So I was like, well, I'm sure we can come up with a solution for this, and that was what kind of spurred it on. I just wanted to be able to say, Alexa, start the car, and went from there, really.
Yeah, that's kind of where the inspiration came from mine as well, to be quite honest with you. How did you start going about it, though? How did you start breaking down the process?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it was a Friday when I had this brainwave of an idea. So the Saturday morning, I started having a little look around on the internet, and I found somebody had already documented most of the API. So big shout out to whoever did that. I don't think it's actually I'm looking at the page if you're wondering why I'm looking away. On Postman, where you can describe your APIs and stuff. Somebody had written it up. I don't think there's any. I'm just going to quickly see if there's a name at the bottom to give them credit. Can't see one. So whoever that is, legend.
I'm not 100% on this, but I think it might actually have been done by RDevD or RDevd or however you pronounce it. Who created WhatCat.
Yeah, Edvard.
Yeah, well, anyway, legend, you saved me an awful lot of time. Like that was a godsend to find. And then I don't have it loaded, so I can't give quite the right credit, but somebody wrote a Python script, which is not what we use in my skills. It's all C#. We can talk about that in a minute. But I kind of had a look at how they were doing it in Python, but really the Postman articles were by far the most important. However, they weren't complete, so there was a little bit of digging around. I did have to play around with the Android version of the app, as they are slightly easier to figure out how things are working, so we say, without digging into that too much. But yeah, the Postman article by far, that was a godsend.
Yeah, it's exactly the same resource that I used as well.
Sure, yeah.
I think it's the only one out there, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
It was either that or reverse engineer it. So
yeah, and I mean that's kind of where I had to go for some of the functionality, because over I think the last 9 months of messing around with this, definitely the API seems to have changed. Certain headers that you used to pass have changed over time. I've definitely had issues with that and had to try to figure out why that's changed, but hasn't been too bad. But yeah, this article got me up and running basically within the day.
So unlike most of the people who are playing with that skill in our world, who are targeting just the iPace, you target all the vehicles which you use in control.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I definitely didn't start this with any ambition of this being a thing. I started this so I could start my car. and I mentioned it to a few people on the F-Type forums, and they were like, yeah, that would be really cool if I could have that as well, please. And then, honestly, I think I spent the next, I mean, it's been going for about, I don't know, just over a year, maybe like 15 months or something now. I can't quite remember when I started. But I think I spent more time engineering the experience, I guess, if you wanted to make it sound fancy, as opposed to building API functionality and so forth, like getting, securing it, getting users enrolled in it, having a good experience, having automatic token, like all of this stuff. Like most of it's just engineering as opposed to building new features and stuff. But I am a dev team of one, so I've got to do it all.
Yeah. So you're hosting it as well, because I know skills have to be hosted.
Yep. Yeah. So, well, there's options. It depends on what the platform is. Amazon will let you host in their AWS and whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but you can host basic like Python scripts and stuff for free. Like I mentioned earlier, all of my stuff is coded in C#. So I naturally hosted in Microsoft Azure as a what they call a web function or an Azure function, and then the website, the login portal, and all that's hosted as what they call a web service. And then the Amazon and the Google services that I have, they just do webhooks into those essentially. So I kind of have one bit of code handling all of the requests. So it's pretty easy to expand now.
And we should point out, with all these skills and the stuff you're doing, the stuff ADD's done, are all using the standard Jaguar API, the same
Correct.
thing as the in-control remote app uses.
Yeah.
So there's no additional bits going on there. You're not doing anything in between. You basically well, you do have to do some bits in between, but you're not. I'm more thinking from the security point of view. People
I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll walk you through it. So basically, when you hit link to your account on Amazon or Google, whatever the button actually says, I forget. You get that, let's be realistic, you get that rather sketchy looking login page that I created. I mean, I am not a graphics designer by any stretch, so you get a very dashing looking page. And when you log into that with your in-control credentials, what I do is essentially broker a connection between Jaguar and yourself and me. And I never record the password. The only thing I record is your email address and PIN, which obviously gets databased in an encrypted manner. You know, everything between the API and the database is encrypted. It's all encrypted at rest. So you can be rest assured I do my best, to keep your data safe. But the password is never stored. Password is only stored in memory and then thrown away once the connection is established. And then Jaguar returned me a set of tokens. I database those as well. In the same nice safe manner. And then all of our future interactions are dealt with using tokens. And the nice thing about the tokens is, A, I don't know your password is, and B, if you ever want to boot me out of the system, or if you ever want to completely secure your system, you can go to the official Jaguar in control webpage. I think it's http://incontrol.jaguar.com. Land Rover users just swap out Jaguar for Land Rover. And then there's a button that says sign out of devices. That will kick me out.
And that's a very quick aside. Good point there. You actually cover Land Rover as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same API with just different logos.
Yeah. Two skills do the same thing. Because I was controlling my iPace with the Land Rover skill when you had your few issues.
The Beast, yeah.
So you've had some challenges, haven't you?
Oh man. Honestly, the challenges. I mean, where to even begin? I've had issues with that first part I mentioned, the brokering the connection to Jaguar. Jaguar's implementation of OAuth 2 is let's say it's not perfect, and the way they return the tokens requires me to do a bit of massaging of the session so that Alexa knows what's going on. That was one interesting thing. I also have I also kind of became a victim of the skill zone success, I guess, where I was trying to do everything for free in Azure, because obviously I'm paying for this, and I was running out of time on renewing tokens and stuff, and so that's been hilarious. Where people have been complaining their skill has requested they re-sign in, all of these things. I'm sure there's 100 other examples I'm not thinking of, but yeah, it's become a full-time job.
Were you surprised by the take-up, actually? Because it has, I mean, certainly I've looked at your Facebook group, it seems to have really taken off.
Yeah, I think, I was just looking, so I built dashboards because every good skill should have a nice, shiny dashboard on top of it. Because honestly, I was getting really, really, really sick of, trying to debug things from a log. I'll send you a picture of the dashboard so that you can maybe show it up on the screen.
That'd be great.
I would try video sharing, but it might it might kill everything. So I'll send you a picture of the dashboard so you can show that up in video. But yeah, so I built a dashboard so I could try and get a flavor for what was going on. I'm not sure if I cut the time in there, but that's a snap of the last 5 minutes. And as of the last 5 minutes, we had something like 2,345 views or something. So,
wow.
Yeah, honestly, it blew me away. Like I started advertising it on the Facebook groups and like and the F-Type groups on Facebook and the F-Type groups on Jaguar Land. What's it called? JaguarForums.com and what the big ones are. And I got a couple hundred users, and then I kind of just gave up spreading, and it just sort of spread by word of mouth, I guess. And 2.5 something thousand users. Hilariously, and like I'm not sure if you want to cut this bit out, but hilariously, I think I've got about 20 Jaguar head office users who probably don't know it's the unofficial skill, but I thought that was quite hilarious.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do know it's the unofficial skill. They're pretty good at using that. I know a few of them are using ADD skill as well. So.
They're not going to be thinking it's the official skill. Let's be honest.
No, but I guess one of the biggest challenges I've got, if you want to maybe cut this bit back in, but yeah, one of the biggest challenges I definitely have is I have an F-Type R. I don't have an I-Pace. I don't have an E-Pace. I don't have an F. Like, whilst the API is the same, it's not the same. Like some of the cars, and depending on the version of the telematics system that the car has, the version of the software on the car at the time, I get all kinds of weird issues where I have one chap, for example, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this bug before. I experienced it on my previous F-Type R, where the in-control app would report the mileage as 0.
Yeah.
And so I was able to come up with a fix for him by working with him and doing some live debugging, because Jaguar actually reports the mileage like 3 different ways. And so I managed to figure out one way to report it for him in that certain scenario. But like, I don't have all these cars to come up with all the answers. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
I had similar. I'm sorry, Garry.
I was going to say that's very common on the normal remote program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Should we start that again?
Oh no, a bit of disorganized chaos never goes down wrong.
But yeah, it was very common on the standard. The official remote app for the iPace was always having problems with range showing a 0 or miles showing a 0. It's well known.
Yeah, all I was going to say was I had a similar thing with somebody when I did the video for the Siri shortcuts. Exactly the same thing where somebody contacted me with, I've got I think it was an XF. I can't remember, but it was a non-I-Pace.
Yeah.
And it was like, all your shortcuts work except this one. Can you fix it? I was
So hilariously, in that case, so I think Jaguar report the mileage 3 ways. They give it to you in miles, kilometers, and then just in case you weren't sure, meters. Why would you give it mileage? Like the total distance traveled in meters? Like unbelievable. Yeah. So yeah.
It must be useful for something.
Yeah.
Consumption. Probably one of the consumption calculations needs it.
Maybe.
I'm not sure my guessometer is that accurate, to be honest.
I'm just looking at that dashboard you sent through. That's amazing.
Yeah, I probably should have. I could send you a slightly better one where it's like over more time. To be fair. Oh no, that was the last 4 hours, not last 5 minutes. But I'll send you another one later.
It's pretty good though.
Yeah. No, it's honestly instrumental because like. I got to the point now where I'm not joking when I say like I don't really build features anymore, apart from like obviously doing the Google skill. Most of it is just engineering to keep the service alive so I can walk away and not be thinking every night, is it dead? And so I've got to the point now where like you can see on that one graph it says failed requests. I've got to the point now where I can click and it will drill down to the stack that actually where the exception was thrown, where the crash was generated, and I can see why that crash occurred, and so I can start like proactively fixing things as opposed to people messaging me on Facebook saying like, "Hey, it's broken again." So
that's cool. That is good. I mean, you get none of that through the Siri shortcut system. There's none of that kind of functionality available, unfortunately. I can't even see how many people have downloaded it.
Wow. Oh, that is a shame. Yeah.
A fair few from what I understand, but.
But honestly, anything is more. I mean, not to knock Jaguar, like the app is really good if it was quicker. Like the app is really good for what it does and what it offers, but if you don't sign into that app for 2 days and then you have to wait for it to do the token thing, and you're not on Wi-Fi and there's a bit of a slowdown, then you hit start the car and it might take 30 seconds. Like it's just crazy. Like it's so slow.
Yeah.
So you started with the skill for the Amazon devices.
That's right. Yeah.
And so how far along the route were you before you started doing the Google version?
The Google version, I think we did 2 months ago. I think it was this year. I can't remember. Like the 2020 and 2021 so far. Like 1 month off, right? But I think it was a couple months ago. I think it was like January. I had a few people in the forum saying, where's the Google skill? Because obviously, like, I've got all this free time to build skills.
You're the skill man. That's it. You've got that right now.
So I think I started reading on about it, like reading the Google Docs. And honestly, I have to give credit where credit's due. The Amazon and Google documentation around skill building is in another world. It's phenomenal. So I started reading the Google stuff on the Saturday, and I think by the Sunday evening we had a prototype. And then I think by the Tuesday or Wednesday, I think the alpha was ready. And so I shipped the alpha out to like 10 people. And then from there, every time I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm good to go, I submit the skill for validation because I know I'm going to get knockbacks. So like when Amazon and Google review your skills, they like test the crap out of it, right? They test it from a security angle that you're validating requests correctly. They test the functionality. They do all these things, right? And so I know it's worth submitting in advance because you're probably going to end up with a week's worth of work when they say no, and they're going to say no. And so one of the things that really sort of bugged me up with the Google one was they require two-factor authentication when you ask it to start the engine or start preconditioning. And I'd already finished at this point. I was like, no way. Like I now have to build in this entire new thing. But we did it. And a nice story from that is I went back to them and said, like, asking your user to verbally say their 2FA PIN code out loud is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Like, why are we using our voices to communicate this? And they agreed, and they changed their terms and conditions. And so now I can actually say to a user, once they've given me their 2FA once, I can say, do you want to opt out of 2FA, verbal 2FA? And so once they've confirmed that they own the device once and they've given me the code once, I can opt out, and then they can just say start the engine again without any other confirmation. Which is not.
That's a good response.
Yeah, it's great when they actually listen to these things.
Yeah, honestly, they've been really good, and you can email them, and somebody that knows what's going on emails you back within an hour or so. Pretty good.
Wow. Strangely, with Apple, it was the opposite of what Apple usually is.
Really?
Yeah. In that there is absolutely no
support
process required.
Yeah.
You write the shortcut. I nearly called it a skill.
Oh.
You write the shortcut, and you just share it.
Wow. I guess, yeah, that is a bit crazy.
That is weird. I mean, I'm pleased about it, but it's weird.
Yeah, we were those weeks. So, going back to your challenges, one of the challenges you had with the whole skill, I mentioned I was running on the Land Rover version, but that was because you had to pull the skill for a while, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, let's not. Oh, dear me. Okay. So when you say challenges, you mean almost certain legal battles, right? So
yeah.
Going back to the very first thing I said about the janky looking login page, where I'm not a graphics designer, I'm a back end engineer. I definitely did temporarily, thank you very much JLR by the way, borrow their logos to supplement my my skill on the App Store. You needed some logo or you couldn't submit, and I didn't think me and Microsoft Paint would quite cut it. I always kind of anticipated needing to change that logo, obviously. But at the time, it was me. I was the only user. And I maybe had 3 other people who were like, oh, yeah, thanks for making the skill, Chris. And so, luckily, I do have a friend who's quite handy in Photoshop. And so he knocked me up a couple of new logos. And then Amazon also requested just in case Jaguar go to them and complain, which they, as far as I'm aware, they didn't. This is just Amazon being proactive, and again, I think that's really good. They were not happy with me calling it Jaguar Remote. I had to refer to it as like an instance of it. So like Remote for Jaguar is what it became.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting actually how many skills out there are something for something. So I guess it's all the same thing. It's a trademark patented thing. Yeah. So it's an interesting workaround.
I mean, they seemed happy with it. I spoke to them back and forth quite a lot, and they again though, like the whole experience was pretty good. Like I knew this day was coming. I knew I needed to do something about it. But yeah. To be honest though, I feel like from Jaguar's standpoint though, it's, and I've had this, and we can talk about this in a minute, but I've had this conversation with them. It's not a direct compete, right? I'm not taking money off people for this. Like, people can use this for free. I'll pay for it. And, like, it's not, you need to still pay Jaguar for a subscription, right? It's not like I'm benefiting in any way. So,
well, in fact, you're helping them, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, like I say, I'm not trying to poo-poo Jaguar. I think what they have today in the app is very good. They could improve it. And it wouldn't kill them to release an Alexa skill when they promised it, would they?
It wouldn't have done. But at least you filled that gap. Despite not having an iPace and not having an EV of any sort, you've actually added all the EV functionality to both skills.
Yep. And again, that's down massively to the little community that we started on Facebook. Quite a few people around the world. A couple of guys in the US were like, yep, I'm going to be free at whatever time, which was good for me because that was my evening. And we did a little bit of live debugging where like we would issue the command to start preconditioning, and then they would tell me if it worked or not. I would look at the errors, and then we'd be like, okay, did it work? No. Okay, why? And then we just kept going. And I think within an hour we had ironed out most of the like EV functionality stuff. So yeah.
So what can you actually do in terms of EV functionality?
Yeah, so I mean today, obviously there's the generic list that covers all of the vehicles, like what's my are the doors locked, stuff like that. That's shared between them. But for EVs, I think you can do. I mean, I wrote the skill. I should know. But you can do preconditioning. You can do. Wait a second. I've got a handy web page that tells me these things. Commands. Okay, you can do battery status. You can do start-stop preconditioning. I should caveat the preconditioning today defaults your preconditioning to 21 degrees Celsius purely because I couldn't be bothered to add in Amazon at the time to take a temperature. And it's also a bit weird because you have to handle the value you get back. You have to massage it a little bit. So like, for example, when in the code, 21.5 degrees, for example, becomes 215. And so there's a little bit of massaging, and I just couldn't be bothered. So I set it to 21. I figure everybody will be happy with 21 degrees Celsius. So that's what you get today, but I might one day fix that. You can start and stop charging, and you can ask it how long until the battery is fully charged. Now, I should say there are some functionalities in there I could add that I haven't added. So I can actually, if I had time, I'll do it. I can ask you can ask it to charge the battery to a certain percentage. So I could cap where you charge to on the day. That could be for a one-time charge or indefinitely until you say otherwise. So I can do things like that. And I think there was a whole bunch of other hidden things I haven't got around.
Yeah, I was about to interject with that, actually. I can confirm that neither of those values actually do anything.
Brilliant.
So, although they're in the API,
brilliant,
they don't actually do anything. So
don't waste your time doing that one.
So don't waste
well, there we are. I'm
that.
glad I didn't waste my time. Yep. I'm glad I didn't waste my time.
Yeah. So, but having said that, there are some bits in there which I think would be some of the extra features are definitely useful.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably, like, I'm not that I'm signing up to doing this, but, like, I was thinking about it the other day. It wouldn't be a lot of work either to maybe integrate with the Jaguar's mapping stuff is provided by Here. I think it's called Here. And I was thinking about adding in, like, something where you say, like, have I got enough range to make it to X? And the mapping stuff, I could try and figure out if you had enough range based off what the route would be. That wouldn't be too difficult, and I could just give you a straight yes or no. Like, I saw. I'm not going to claim that I had this original idea. I saw on an advert for a different car company, but I was thinking that isn't actually a terribly difficult thing to do. So I could maybe build something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know at least one iPace driver is using your skill actually in the car. So,
in the car. Oh,
yeah.
is like an Alexa in the car or something.
Yeah, co-auto.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that would definitely suit him. That you'd be able to ask how I.
Fantastic.
I think you're underestimating how much work it's going to cause you, though.
Well, I've done it before, so I actually wrote a Twitter bot. So where I grew up in Caerphilly, there was this really controversial roundabout set of works, and so I wrote a Twitter bot that would assess the distance, assess the travel time between my house and somewhere that traversed the roundabout, and it would check it throughout the day, and it had pre-canned tweets that it would tweet depending on how much of a delay there was. And, it would tweet this throughout the day, and it would do more tweets in the morning. So if you were going to work, it could be like, it's all entirely screwed. Don't bother even going outside. And then where I live today in Cheltenham, they did another set of controversial works on our one-way system. So I forked the Twitter bot and started another one, and he would just tweet about the Cheltenham Council being idiots all the way long. But it's not too difficult.
Okay.
That just sounds like something which would be quite useful.
It's a brilliant idea, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I might bake it in. I might have a go.
If you're going to do that, the other spin to that, which I have had requests for the apps, is the ability to say how long do I need to charge my car to get to somewhere.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the same sort of question, but yeah, okay, yeah. That might be that's difficult for me to know though, because I don't know what the charge rate of the charger is at the time. So that is difficult. Once it's on charge, you have access to like the time and stuff. So I guess I could figure out how much would be needed. But yeah, without knowing what charger it's plugged into, that's really difficult.
Yeah. I guess you possibly could do it on a home charger because virtually all of them are 7.2 kilowatts. But
yeah, you could do that easily on a home wall box, but once you start introducing DC rapid charging with the charging curve and the taper and
you wouldn't want to do that. But the other one might be useful.
Yeah.
Obviously, anybody viewing this, we're going to have comments on the videos as ever. So if they've got requests for you, then we'll pass them on.
And I'll put them on the floor somewhere where for when I've got spare time.
Yeah.
Well, you've done remarkably. So,
don't get me wrong. I'm all for. I definitely. I've got all the time in the world to make sure the service works. Putting new features in, I really want to. Like, there is data in the API that I have seen, so I know it's there. That none of the apps expose, and I was thinking about doing it. I'm not sure how useful it is, but little things like tire pressures, I can access tire temperatures like coolant temperatures, oil, things like that. I'm not sure how good the oil one is in fairness, but there are other bits in there that are really easy for me to bake in. But big functionality is a bit of a pain. So, like, not a pain, but just like between software engineering all day and then trying to find the will to do it for 6 more hours in the evening for no money.
Actually, not even no money. It's costing you money.
It does cost a fair bit, actually. It's to be honest, it's only costing more now because I did contact Jaguar to see if they were interested in taking over it in some fashion, so that there would actually be a support team and all that good stuff. But in order to do that, I decided to make my web service have SSL so they could visit it without having warnings and stuff. And I think it's costing something like £300 to £400 a month now, which is fairly meaty. But I don't mind because for me it's pretty useful. But yeah. But
do you take donations at all?
We do. I take donations, but I on the understanding that it's totally optional. I really don't. You don't need to donate to use this. Like, this is never going to become paid for software. I endeavor to make this free for as long as humanly possible. The cost shouldn't really increase as the user count increase. The costs right now are pretty much as high as they'll ever be, unless I need to scale. So I have these things called scale sets, and so if there's a busy period, it'll spin up another machine to handle a request, and then it'll spin it back down. If we ever get to a point where maybe I need one more, the cost will go up slightly, but it'll be marginal. So I don't think it'll ever get much more expensive than it is now.
I'd like to think not.
I hope so. Or it'll be me using it again, and everybody else will be booted out.
Well, we can only hope that JLR do come along and make you official and give you some help on that, because
Make you an offer.
Yeah, I mean, just take it off our hands. Like, I've spoken to a few folks at JLR now, and one guy I spoke to, I won't name names obviously, but one guy I spoke to said they were looking at it. I haven't heard much back about that just yet, but to be honest, I wouldn't care if tomorrow they said, yep, good work and everything, but we've got our official skill coming. Fantastic. Like, sign me up. I'm in. Like I can turn it all off. Like, good stuff. But I'll leave it up until that day comes. Actually, I'll leave it up until a couple of weeks after they release that new skill, because if the new skill is as slow as the app, then maybe I will leave mine up for a bit. We'll see.
Well, they've got a new team at the moment, so
right,
doing some of those stuff. So, so it'll be good. So, in terms of the people want to sign up for this, how do they actually? I mean, the skills are listed in the skill stores, I guess, for both.
Yeah. For Amazon, you can just Google remote for Jaguar or remote for Land Rover, and it should just take you straight there. Remote for Jaguar, Alexa skill, something like that, and it should just take you straight there. For Google, much the same. Google Assistant, remote for Jaguar, something like that. Or if you go to www.graymansoftware.com, I've got links on there to all of the appropriate skills. Excuse me. So they should take you to the right places. But yeah, that's it really. Nice and easy. If you've got Alexa on your phone, you can just search in the skills store. Just search Jaguar, and then it's pretty much the first one that comes up. Hilariously, Amazon in the connected car. I don't know if Amazon knows I'm not the real one, but in the connected car, like top 10, I've frequently been on number 1 or 2. So like, that's crazy.
Wow, well, you get very high ratings, so that's probably why.
I do now, but there was a period last year in like November, December, where again, like I said earlier, we had so many users. I was timing out on token renewal, and so I got a lot of people commenting like, I have to renew every day, and it's like, and it took me a little while to fix that because I didn't have the shiny dashboards to point me in the direction, and I mean, again, being a dev team of one, I don't have all the time in the world to fix everything, so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that got those reviews were assuming it was the official app as well. So.
No, I know. Yeah.
So
they'd have probably been a lot more forgiving had they known that this was.
I agree.
You know.
Yeah. And we've mentioned that there's a Facebook forum for this as well to give you support in terms of well, you give support.
Sorry, for some reason my Siri just decided she wanted to get involved.
You wanted in.
Talk about Alexa and Google.
I think she's jealous.
So Facebook forum, you give support on there. People give you support back in terms of helping out with bits and pieces. So what's that called? It's a group.
It's a Facebook group. I think it's just called JLR Remote. But I'll give you at the end if you want to stick a link to the graymansoftware.com thing. On there is a link to the support forum and the privacy statement.
So that's the only place people really need to go.
I put all the links on one page, so it's just easier.
Good stuff. Yeah. And if people want to support you in terms of donations, is there a link for that there as well?
Yeah, I think it's pinned on the Facebook forum, but and I think it's one of the first things that come on the website. But again, only donate if you can or want to. Like, don't feel compelled or anything dumb like that. Like,
one final question for you.
Aye.
What would you like to be able to do that you can't?
That's a
I'm
good
limiting this to the API. I should stress.
What would I want to do that I can't in the API? That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. Maybe. To be honest, I think it's a little bit of a short. I mean, you can kind of do it. I do occasionally. I don't do it as much anymore. This is not like big dreaming, but if you go to here.jaguar.com, you can set routes and it'll push you to the car. Yeah. I wish that was done via the API versus some other API. Like, it feels a bit broken up that there's multiple APIs. But otherwise, to be honest, I think the coverage of what you can do is fairly good. I just wish the interaction would be a bit quicker as well, but I think a lot of that does come down to the car cell reception and like being able to actually communicate out. Get a lot of people complain because they're parking garages and maybe doesn't work straight away. So
which is always an issue.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I've always wanted more of with the skills is more interaction in the routines. I mean, I know you've published some really good little guides to using the Amazon routines, because obviously you can make that the phraseology is a little bit complex to ask Jaggy Remote or whatever it is to do this.
Yeah, and a lot of that, I was going to say, a lot of that comes down from the fact that Amazon restricts. So Amazon have this concept of like home devices and connected vehicles, and so if you are a vehicle manufacturer, you can enroll as a vehicle manufacturer, and you can build a connected car skill that allows you to shortcut to saying Alexa, start the car. But I asked them, because I'm not a vehicle manufacturer, obviously, I can't enroll for that, and so I am limited to doing the custom invocation of Alexa ask blah 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 to do blah blah blah. But through the use of routines, you can shorten it. So frequently, you can't shorten it to say like Alexa start the car, because that clashes with the connected vehicles thing.
Yeah.
But you can say Alexa start the engine. So
and motor in our case.
Well, yeah, I mean whatever you want, right? Start the Batmobile, like it doesn't matter, right? Like you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah.
Mine is fire up the Jag.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah. Or warm the cat up, is what I've got. Which could be misconstrued, I guess. But it's the precondition. But yeah, I mean that's really good. I think one thing I would love to see some of the skill bits I've worked on is the ability to trigger routines more. It'd be lovely if you could trigger a routine from the state of charge, for example.
Yeah, so I actually I was looking into this. So, but one thing I do via the Alexa routine on a time-based trigger is I say lock the car every day at 10 p.m. So it'll just lock the car, even if it's locked, it'll just try to lock it anyway, because that will also roll the windows up, and so that's quite a nice thing to have. But initially, before I even considered that, I actually was thinking about building some sort of task scheduler, so that users on the Greyman software website could go in and say like an X thing, I want you to do thing, and you could interact with it a bit more. But one thing that I will do, and I don't know when I'm going to do it, but this might make your life much easier and allow you to do the things you want to do, is I will build some if this then that support.
Yeah, that would be useful.
And then you can do whatever you want then.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go versus me building a custom language around like, you interacting with it. But initially when I considered this, I only had the Alexa skill. I didn't have the Google skill. So I was only handling one set of requests. But now it's, now I can handle, N services. It doesn't matter. Like, so I might add a test on that.
I know something. One of my friends is working on a skill completely unrelated, but for perhaps something at home, has actually got his skill creating virtual buttons, which can be then imported into Amazon and Google, so you can then use those virtual contact switches, so you can then use those to trigger things. So he has. So I guess you could have something like that for a battery fully charged contact switch, and it would then allow you to trigger it.
Yeah, I mean you could do what? Yeah, I mean if I add if this then that, if this then that, then you can do whatever you want. Like the guy's doing it. Yeah. The only difficulty I've got today is and this is purely because I'm an idiot, is at the moment you can only be enrolled in any one of the skills at a time, so you can't be a Google and Amazon user at the same time. That is on my like number one thing to fix. That's just because of unique keys in databases. Is another artifact, I guess, of the skill growing and me having to change things as time goes. But I'll fix that. And once I fix that, then you can do this, then that, Alexa and Google if you've got all three things. So yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I have to say that. I can certainly think of a lot of scenarios, especially for EV drivers with charger rates. Even just getting Alexa to announce when you've got to a certain state of charge would be really useful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, if you're on a road trip and you're going for a coffee while your car's charging, and you're using something like, let's say, a better route planner, and it's telling you need to charge to 86% to get to your next stop.
Yep.
That would be
So if you're a Google user, that is possible. I can build that today because the Google Actions let you send push notifications. When events have triggered on the server side. You can send a webhook thing back into Google Actions, and then it will alert them either vocally or with a little notification bar. But unfortunately, I think as of today, Amazon doesn't support that. It's only requested from Amazon. So, you need to be a Google user to take advantage.
Yeah.
And for me to build it.
Oh yeah, plus that.
That's
just that minor detail.
Small point.
Yeah.
Well, you did the whole thing between, what was it, Saturday and Tuesday, so come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Alexa thing, I think it was like Saturday to Sunday. It was like a horrifically broken version. But yeah, the Google one was easy because I'd already done everything, right? And so I kind of understood the terminology and stuff of what the skills mean. And it wasn't too bad. And once you've got the API written and you've got your library handled, the rest is trivial, right? And actually, just a small point on that, if developers out there, you guys, I actually push the library that controls all of the API interactions and stuff. That's all open source. I open source everything. The only thing that's not open source is the API controls itself, just because even though I'm pretty confident, I'd rather people not see how certain things are done, just so that there's not an opportunity for someone to attack it. It's just better if you don't have that published. But the API itself, where you can just compile it and stick your username and password in and say, like, vehicle.lockdoor, that's all open source. It's all on the GitHub, which isn't linked, but it's git.greymansoftware.com. So it's the same link, but subdomain.
Yeah. We'll add those links to the comments, video description down below.
The show notes, as they say.
The show notes.
That'll be novel. Brilliant, Chris. Thanks so much for spending time with us today.
I know, no worries, yeah.
It's really good, and I'm using your skill every day, so it's really useful.
It's almost a miracle you've been able to use it every day.
His car's been in the dealer a lot, though.
Classic.
Actually, it was every day except for the last week and a bit when I never replaced my wing mirrors, but other than that.
Scary me.
So, just absolutely finally, I know ADD had his final question. My final question is there any future plans which are up and coming straight away, or is it all sort of stuff you're thinking about doing?
I have a text pad somewhere of things that I wanted to do. Definitely, like I say, the number one thing is add multi-skill support for if this then that, then build if this then that. And then I think I still want to do the little things like there is data, like I say, in the API that I would like to expose, and so the library that I was just mentioning actually does expose it today. I just don't consume it in the skill. So little things like tire pressures, I'd like to be able to add. I mean, it would take me 5 seconds. I just haven't done it. To say like vehicle health check or something, and I could tell you oil level's good, tires are all good. Like I can give you that confirmation, right? And I'd like to add that. I mean, it's something that the app doesn't do today, which I think is quite nice. It's nice to have that unique thing. But yeah, I don't know. I've got a list somewhere, but I think multi-skill usage at the same time is where I need to be. That's the first thing I need to fix.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Chris, again, thank you so much, and thank you for all the users. I know I've been quite a lot. They've been really pleased that it actually surfaced, because I know the fact that there wasn't an official skill has been a bone of contention amongst many iPace owners who have promised it. So you filled a big hole there. So brilliant work, and again, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, cheers. No dramas.
Really appreciated it.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
Great stuff. Well, we'll invite you back, Chris, in future times. When you've got new things, especially when you get this then that stuff. It'll be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I think I to be honest, I actually don't know why I didn't start with that, because that would have made everything else much simpler.
Hindsight's a marvelous thing.
Hindsight 2020. But good chat with you both though. Like that was a lot of fun. It's nice to talk to some other Jag owners, like, especially it's like, even I do a lot of like track days and like go out with I like to call my racing group and stuff, but like we haven't been able to do anything. Like it's just nice to just talk to some other people.
So we're therapy.
It is a form of therapy. That's a good place to leave it. A good place to leave this show, I think. A good title for the show. It's therapy. Thanks again, and we'll see you all on the next show.
Indeed.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Cheerio.